just going to roll into it. We're just going to go live. Like that, Tweaks.
Oh, are we live?
We're live. You know how you know that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just like that. You get your auto run on, bro? Come on, man.
I haven't auto run an LC in a very long time.
Oh, gosh.
In a very long time. But you didn't.
Oh.
You were supposed to ask me how you know that we're live. And
Oh no, I was really excited, so I kept spamming refresh. So I just knew.
Well, Tweaks, I'm going to tell you. It's because I'm saying YouTube. What's going on? It's your boy Buddha back in the building for another Power Creep podcast. The first of 2023 with the homie. You know him. It's Tweaks.
What's up, guys?
And here we are. Happy New Year to you.
Mm-hmm.
Happy New Year
Happy
to
New
the
Year,
chat.
everybody, man. Let's go.
Happy New Year to last Cloudia. On this episode of Can Tweaks Convince Buddha to play LC again, we're going to be talking about the latest update. But first, let me ask, Tweaks, how did the New Year celebration treat you?
New Year's was good, man. Overall or last Cloudia?
You can say
All of
both.
it. Let's go all of it. All of it.
Yeah.
I mean, last New Year's was nice. Just a good time overall. And then, in last Cloudia, we have some pretty big update with a lot of cool stuff that they added. Not bad. Not bad. How was your little extended vacay?
Goodness gracious.
New spot.
Dude.
See you out there with your brother and stuff. That was funny.
Yeah, it was a good time. As you can tell, a massive success compared to my attempt 2 years ago to bring all of my things with me.
Oh yes, we're proud of you. We're really proud that you didn't quite misplace everything.
Cool, yeah, not quite. Didn't go off in a taxi in a foreign country somewhere. And made it there, did some live streams, made it back, and now here we are to do the first Power Creep podcast. So I guess then I can ask you, how is the New Year in LC treating you?
You're in New Year in LC. It's interesting. There's some unexpected. I think probably an unexpected New Year's unit that came out. There's some interesting quality of life stuff that they kind of introduced via a paywall, but we'll get to that. But yeah, I don't know. The event's not. I mean, there's really not that much that happened besides just the packs that they usually give, or the banners that they bring, and that's usually the hypest part of it.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're not doing a great job of convincing me right now with that.
Yeah, no, it's just like
tweaks.
it's similar to last year. They introduced more UR guaranteed banners. I think the newest thing that they added this year, besides having a New Year's unit, is like that LR that was hidden behind a little pack ski. So
it's gonna be interesting. I'm interested to hear about it. I've kind of been keeping up with last Cloudia. But I definitely have not been doing my due diligence, as I think many of you have known me once to do. But
good, dude.
Here we are, doing the Power Creep pod, because I promised I would keep doing it. Tweaks, of course, holding it down. And to answer Blizzard's comment, no, this is not a new schedule. To my knowledge, I think I need to talk with Tweaks a little more. We need to sit down and have a little business meeting.
Right.
But we did. We were supposed to be doing these at 3 p.m. on
Thursdays.
And
right.
Here we are at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday.
So the unfortunate part was this past week, you were ready on Thursday.
I was
ready on Thursday.
Yes.
But the update wasn't happening till Friday. So we couldn't exactly do it. You couldn't make it happen on Friday, so this was the first time that we generally could have made it happen. And I wasn't available during the day today, so
yes,
normal time would be normally Thursday, but couldn't do it this week. So
There
we had
will
to push
be
it back a little bit.
exceptions. There will be exceptions, especially when holidays roll around, especially in Japan. They have a couple unique days compared to, I'd say, the States and other countries. So we work around them, unfortunately. So here we are to talk about Graphel, who's on your
Graphel.
home screen.
Right. I think probably a unit that many people didn't really know that much about until the last story dropped. She's Leona's master. I mean, not really story spoilers, but I mean, if you look at her kit at all, she's very similar to Leona, just in single wielding Earth. That's pretty much it, to be honest. She has some stuff named after her, even in Leona's kit. But she's fun. She is going to be I mean, let's just talk about it, right?
Sure.
Let's go find wherever she's at. Earth single wield attacker. She has some good DPS. It's really nothing crazy. I would more equate her to like shift melee, like saintly melee is her DPS overall. But what she does uniquely is she boosts other Earth attackers in the party, specifically Earth physical attackers, Earth special attackers. So, is she going to have a place in the meta right now of like, doing the most damage, doing the most burst damage? No, not really. But just similar to Saintly Melee, she does have a little enabling in her kit for the units around her, as well as herself. So I think that's just really cool for her. As for her skills, Deluge of Blows is going to be a mid-range Earth attack. It's just like a flurry. It actually pierces through enemies. It's kind of cool. Cosmic Concussion is just, it's just a general hit-em-up skill. Nothing crazy. And then Rising Roundhouse is her warp. Kind of similar to Leona's S3, but is an actual warp this time. And just her skills are not the fastest in general. She hits for her damage and she does just that. It's not like it's anything super, super special. And then Celestial Roundhouse is her special. Single target damage. This can get boosted pretty well if there is a full stack of Earth allies around her, but I don't know. I don't think she's like super heavily known for her special damage. But why don't we get into her traits? Because where we get into her charisma, get into her traits is where she starts seeing her unique abilities, right? As for their trait 1, the Magic Strike Master, this is Fist of Magic buff active. Greatly boosts Earth damage based on intelligence. Boosts Earth damage cap based on max MP. Damage cap plus 12,000. When skill/special attacking, if enemy's defense is higher than mind, use mind value instead of and deal damage. This is actually really interesting. So, her Fist of Magic buff is going to be a buff that enables her to do max amount of damage, and it basically seeps or siphons your MP every 6 seconds if you're using it. You have the ability to turn this off in your magic menu. You simply cast it again, but in general, you'll be wanting to have this active when you want that max damage cap and max damage boost with her, basically an innate thaumaturgy ring. But in order to even get that 12,000 max damage cap boost, she will have to have a minimum of 500 MP max. What I mean to say is, before the start of battle, with all your equipment, with all of your arcs added in, she will need 500, that 500 number, in order to get that max boost. No matter what you do in the battle after that, if you have the Fist of Magic buff active, that 12,000 boost will still be intact. And then when skills special attacking, if enemy's defense is higher than mind, use mind value instead and deal damage. This is really interesting. This is the first thing we've seen that essentially ignores tanks' defense. Well, it doesn't ignore their defense, right? But for units like she's facing in maybe Arena, and while she may not be the most amazing character there, she has the ability to, for tanks that she's going to be fighting that have rely on their very thick defense stat, she basically ignores that and then attacks their mind value instead. So in most scenarios, their physical defenses, or tanks' physical defenses are based on thick old defense stat. She essentially ignores that and goes straight just for the throat and goes for their mind. I have seen this work pretty well in being able to demolish tanks, but she herself being generally a short range attacker, her melee range attacker, she can just get splattered by any other attacks that are happening. So against tank teams, yeah, she is very useful. But I don't see her being like breaking any metas anytime soon. As for the trait 2, Unity of the Sky and Sea, when only one weapon is equipped, skill and special damage plus 120%, special damage cap plus 15,000, or we generally know her as a single wielding unit, so this is going to be just fitting right into there. When another ally has Earth skills, add the effects below, blue sky charisma, blah blah blah. So this is a lot of reading right here. Basically, what you need to know is for every unit that's in the party with her, she gains a boost to the overall earth damage cap, earth damage and damage cap, as well as single wield earth physical and special damage cap. I'm trying to figure out a way to easily explain this.
It's okay, take your time.
Lake actually does. I'm just gonna point it out on the gold mine. Lake does a fantastic. We have this write up for the charisma itself. If you do go look up the blue sky charisma for her, it is a very, very good way to simplify it. But basically, as you gain more units, and a unit has to have, in order to qualify for this, to give the boost to her and the party overall, they have to have one ability, one skill, 1, 2, or 3, 1, 2, or 3, that is an earth of the earth attribute. It can't be a conversion. So like if it starts out as a thunder attack and converts to earth, like that's not a valid thing. It has to actually start as an earth skill. And once that unit actually has one of those, that qualifies for the overall boost to the team. Now, when at max, if you have her plus 3 other earth skillers, that gains plus 8,000 to all earth physical, plus 8,000 cap to all earth physical and special damage, as well as another 8,000 for single wielders, for earth single wielders, I should say, for earth single wielders, which is kind of cool because we don't have that much of a boost on a charisma. I mean, our biggest charismas nowadays are like 4,000 damage cap overall. So just having her in the squad and having multiple units in the squad with earth skills boost it much more heavily than maybe you're bringing your Tinkilis, your Sarahs, maybe you're even Shift Bandits for another 4,000 damage cap boost. Like, you don't necessarily need those. All you have to do is simply add an earth unit, which is kind of cool. I like that mono team effectiveness, or that mono team focused building in order to get more damage out of for everyone. And for units that love her, that are big friends with her, I mean, we have some really cool earth units in the game that are just generally just like it. Let me just go to here, because generally earth units are going to have some resistance to her. Just for starting off the bat, sort of shift a little bit. It's going to love her. She's going to get 8,000 cap at max. Zykes is going to get some. Logia is going to get a bunch. I believe Zlorg does as well. Rabala. You got Granadas. And then we're looking at the big boys. We got Vayne. Vayne gets a huge boost, 16k for single wooden boost. Graphel, of course, boosts herself. You got Reese. You got Kohaku from the Stone Collab. You got Ed. You got Levi. You got Morgana. Those are some big names out there that are just going to love that damage. Love that damage cap boost, especially for the ones that are relatively low original damage caps. Yeah, pretty cool. Now into her kit herself. Now, as we talked about before, the Fist of Magic, give you a Fist of Magic buff. You can use this to turn off the Fist of Magic buff in the middle of battle. So that's pretty nice. What this does, though, is so like I said, it siphons the MP. It requires and uses up 15% of the MP every 6 seconds that it's available, which is a lot. Not only that, you're saying, oh, well, I'll just regen my MP with a Goddess Kiss or whatever. That's the thing. Where it says continuous cut MP and greatly cuts the MP recovery amount, it nukes everything down to 1 MP. So if you're using Fist of Magic, the buff on her, and you're like, I'm at half MP, I better go Goddess Kiss and grab some procs back. No. Where we've been accustomed to, like, Goddess Kiss can bring you back a ton of MP just because it gives 10%, or sorry, 2% of the regular attack damage back as MP, which can be a lot, right? Like you can proc up to like 999 based on some of these hits. It doesn't matter. She only gets 1 back while you have it on. Now, if you decide you want to do that, the best way of doing that is using this Fist of Magic buff, turning it off, hitting for some Goddess Kiss procs, and then turning it back on, which just means you have to cast it again. That would be the way to do it. It's a little bit, you literally force yourself in order to make it happen. It's definitely a big manual play. But if you do kill in a battle that's relatively short and you don't mind that, 15% MP drop every 6 seconds, then okay, you can do that. But just know that in longer battles, this is just, if you don't even mess with this at all, you'll generally just lose it almost immediately. Well, not immediately, but pretty damn quick. And then the Blue Sky Charisma, of course, this starts out at 20% skill special damage for Earthies and 2,000 damage cap. But as it gets boosted, it gets strongly boosted by that trait too, if you have more Earth allies. Passive effects. Let's go do these, because she has some interesting stuff in here. Basically a pretty standard kit so far, and then Divinity Buster and Special Boost for free. You like to see it. Auto Critical, Auto Haste. Earth Drive, High Drive, Earth Decrease 2 and 3, which are nice boosts for her. I do wish she came with... I don't know why she didn't come with Earth Mega Drive, to be honest, but whatever. They're trying to sell that thing to everybody else. Pose of Glory, Goddess Kiss, Blessed Speed, Fetter's Insight 2, which is interesting. That gives us some extra stats on the claw and clothes that she gets that would normally be using. Favorite sword. What she's missing right here is going to be your two-handed claw, which, of course, they threw on the UR Ark that's in her banner. Surprise, they're trying to sell it to you. That's a bit of a scummy tactic, I think, because she definitely deserved it, just having an innate. But, they're trying to sell that UR to you. Claw Mega Boost for some extra boost, some extra damage. Close Mega Boost, Armor HP plus 2. I will mention this Armor HP plus 2. This is just anything in the armor slot, not necessarily having the armor plate or the armor typing. So clothes, robe, and armor all work for this as long as there's something in there. Quick Trigger, Indomitable Spirit, Graphic Claw Technique, which is, her and Leona both have this. This is giving her more cap for, having a claw again. Tantivy, this is what you're going to have active if you want Fist of Magic buff off the start. Nagong, continuous MP regeneration effect, which hilariously also gets nuked down to 1 whenever you have Fist of Magic buff active. So I don't know. This serves very little purpose in my mind.
And also, why is this not the exact same thing as Advanced Magic Circles? Auto Advanced?
Oh, Auto Advanced Magic Circles? It absolutely is. But they just wanted to give it a cool new name.
And Icon, okay.
And Icon, whatever. They do what they want. Adamantium, when near death, defense mine plus 30% based on how low HP is, max plus 60%. So it starts out at plus 30% at low HP, but then gets boosted up to max plus 50% depending on how low it is further. Self-healing, continuous HP regeneration effect, then heals 1 random basic status summons every 20 seconds. This is nice. Just basically auto regeneration and then a free self-heal every 20 seconds. It's only 1 status ailment, but most places you don't need too many. So she's a single wood attacker. She gets a good bit of cap. Not like, an obscene amount of cap, but she can get quite a bit if she has a full party. And we can go ahead and test her skills. Why don't we just, before we do that, I guess, why don't we talk about her paids? Because as they always love to do, they've been, maybe Buddha in the past, we used to talk shit on the paids, being like, yeah, you don't really need those. Like, they're okay. There's better options elsewhere, blah, blah, blah. Dude, all of the paid items recently, they've just made cracked out for units in the past, like 6-8 months. Like, they're so much better than all of the Godforge alternatives. Which, for her, there's not really any. There's, like, a couple Earth Claws you could use for those Goddess Kiss procs, but not too many. But for her paid claw specifically, it's just like, okay, here's 30% Earth physical attack damage, 3,000 damage cap, special damage cap, attacking, or, strength and intelligence, both she wants, and being Earth attribute. Okay, we see what you're doing here.
It hurts.
Yeah, so the hair class is pretty good. Can you use other claws to, fulfill that spot? Absolutely. Are there going to be any like super nasty earth claws that are going to be in there? Yeah, there's some, like I'm not there any super nasty ones, but like ones that she can use, sure. This one from the event. I think this one's from, I forget where that one's from event. I know the feather claws from story, in Grandar, and this is from the UR sure. But this in general is going to be best in slot for most spots. Her paid, which is super annoying for a lot of people, but just happens to be it.
I think
the Swift Guard. Yeah.
I was just going to comment on the paids. I think if they could be acquired in the Crimson shop at not such an egregiously slow pace, it wouldn't feel as bad as it does right now. Does that make sense?
Maybe.
Maybe.
They will be available in around 6 months.
They will be available,
right?
Right? But when you actually then measure the value of what to spend your Crimson ore on, that's what I'm getting at.
And I think that's where the medium lies, right? Do they want to make it available right away? No. Do they want to make you wait for it? Yes. And maybe in the 6 to 8 months that it becomes available, the power creep does get aggressive. Then it's just like, oh, maybe it's not worth it. So they're giving the paying players an advantage. I mean, here's the thing: the advantage. What is the advantage? We don't really have the content to use an advantage, right? It just helps to further synergize our kit. I don't know. There's options out there to use. It just feels a little bad that the paids lately have been essentially best in slot almost every time.
Anyway,
for both things.
I didn't mean to disrupt the flow.
No, you're fine. That's that's a good point. The Swiftguard Hephaestus? I don't know how do we say these type of things? And of course, she wants MP, so this thing has a fat MP stack of 60. It also gives continuous Grand Brave, MP plus 20% base. Also cut damage taken based on how low unit MP is, maximized 30%. So where is this relevant? High strength set, high MP, very high MP in the passives, continuous Brave. She also gets, at very low MP, she gets minus 30% overall damage. Yeah, dude. This is straight up arena. I mean, this is gonna be great for her in every spot. It's just arena. That's what it looks like. Yeah, her paids are pretty strong because I mean, obviously there's other clothes she can use in the game, but yeah. Not so much. Not so much anything's gonna beat that out. As for accessories, use whatever you want, honestly. Damage cap, damage boosting, it really doesn't matter. She is similar to a lot of DPS in the fact that she just likes general damage. But why don't we go in and see just how crazy this can get? Because there's some things in the game, and we can talk about her skills during it, but there's some parts in the game that we like to bully things, and it's going to be against Pablo. And he's Earth weak, and all these units are going to look really, really good, so why don't we just go do that? I'm going to bring a couple units that who should I bring? Should I bring Kohaku? I think so. Let's go Kohaku and Logia. I think that sounds fun.
I want to say something, but I feel like
it's
not timed right. You mentioned Logia. With her, and when we get into the new arc, I'm very interested in seeing. I'm always interested. I feel like Logia pops up from now, like whenever we get these huge jumps in what you can enable with.
Yeah.
He's like, I just tend to look at him and be like, what's Logia doing in his corner nowadays?
Yeah, he's pretty funny. Of course, that's the main thing he's always wanted was more cap. Like it's not surprising to say that. Yes, he's going to look a lot better whenever we can actually give him some cap. I don't know. I enjoy using him quite a bit over the years, just to bring him back in. As for her, though, let me just give some stuff real quick.
Hey, we got some donos rolling in, so thank you guys. X-Man, Burnside, aka becoming a member and with the $10. Thank y'all. Says, love you, brother. Keep doing what you're doing. Glad you had a great holiday season. I hope you all did as well, right? End of the year's always busy if you depending on what you're celebrating. And then, of course, New Year's always a big time. So hope everyone made their resolutions for 2023. While Tweaks is getting set up over here.
Oh, we're getting set up because it's going to be kind of fun.
I'm excited. I can listen, regardless of how I feel towards the game, towards the management, all of that. It's always a good time to watch Tweaks test in Last Cloudia. So
this'll work.
Should be a good time.
We'll give a little bit more capskis.
Should be a good
we'll
time.
Roll out.
I will say, with these last units that have come out and the way that they just kind of support each other,
right?
I really do get sad about my roster nowadays. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of power creep going on, and like some enabling and some fun stuff that you can do. And why don't I bring 2 Graphels? Why not? So right here, right now, if we cast the charisma, we're gonna be looking at 16k cap boost to both Graphels, 8k to both of the dual wielders, Logia and Kawaku. So should be a little bit interesting. I'm gonna make sure. I don't even need Plant Slayer. No, we're fine. Do I want the other stuff? Yeah, I do want the other stuff. Sure. Why don't we just roll? So we'll let the homie Blue Sky Charisma, and then we will go in and 88,000 caps. Okay, 89,000. That's aggressive. That's real aggressive.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. The cap game in LC has Adel just came through and just like
came through heavy, and then people all followed. Everybody followed.
Yeah, he just kicked the door down and said, "Time for a new power creep, y'all."
As you can see, my
I will say I've used her
MP dropping down heavily.
Yeah, that looks like Ardeen in Dragon Buster mode.
She'll lose her caps here just for a split second, but
good lord, but still, I mean.
Oh, look, you got the kill. Let's go.
Yeah, with the 27.
But he's hitting for 27.
What did she drop to? 67? I mean, like.
She dropped to what? 12 off of that.
So.
Oh, 78.
Bruh.
Still pretty strong.
What are we even talking about? I like how I see people in the chat being like, "Yeah, she's all right." Just like looking at the past. I mean, you gotta have power creep, right? You gotta have power creep, but it's always interesting when there's a definitive break and shoot up, right? And I feel like since Adel, we've had the units that don't like sit kind of up there are the exceptions,
right?
You know what I mean?
You're not wrong. I think to me it was a start of DMC. I think Virgil and Nero broke that wall a little bit, and then Adel just kind of stomped it away. Then we had Vayne, and even recently the Luke, the Stans, like just an absurd amount of DPS that came out. And then now we're getting units like Stanley Melee, like Graphel, who actually enable and push other teams and other units further. So I don't know, man. She's fun, and you guys probably didn't get to see a bunch of the skills there. Probably didn't get to see the Goddess Kiss procs or anything like that. But she hits pretty dang hard.
Yeah. I was gonna.
She's a very good kit.
I was gonna say I do like her S1 a lot.
Okay, that is actually one thing I wanted to show real quick.
Okay.
The fact of how it works, it's actually really interesting. The fact that it pierces. So why don't we just go do that? No. Let's go over here. Let's give you little counsel. Why not? Council's like my favorite arc to have a max arc skill. So fun.
Yeah, we get to talk about the little Ark Selector in a while. So I have some thoughts that'll be interesting, I think.
Yeah.
See what you think about it.
So right here, S1, it's gonna be mid range, but Let me see if we can hit this guy. You see that right now? I'm hitting the enemy closest to me as well. It's a bit interesting because it's not only it's not there's no it doesn't pierce past of the point of the enemy, but it pierces up to them. It's like an air punch almost. So yeah, it's kind of cool. I like it.
It uses
it's definitely different.
It uses the furthest enemy as the cap for distance.
Yeah.
And anything in between is not safe.
Yep.
So I do think she's fluid.
Thanks.
I mean, physical DPS.
She's a very fun unit.
Right.
And
right.
I'm gonna put her out as a very similar to Sailey Melee. And she's fun. Her skills are flashy. She's jumping all over the place. She has good movement. She has stuff from range, and she enables your other units. So if you have those units that especially dude, the Vaynes. I'm sorry, you just gave 16k cap to Vayne.
It's not okay.
He's one of the best units in the game right now, easily. And they were just like, yeah, here's Vayne's best friend. Here's 16k more cap to Vayne for absolutely no reason. Like, this dude was already gross. Yeah. It's so filthy.
God, man.
I mean, I had him hitting over 100k, like with a full setup. I had her hitting over, I think it was 90. Did I have her over 100k too? I don't know. I don't remember, but they were both just absolutely shredding. I mean, again, this is against Pablo, and I saw Joe mention in the chat before something about the content we have. Yeah, we don't really have like we just go and bully Pablo because there's no really like super difficult content to showcase them in easily, right? Could I take her in Maze and do some stuff with her with a full Earth team? Absolutely. Am I going to mess up my lineups to do that? Probably not. Could you show Vayne with her? Sure, bro.
You should. You should.
I'm gonna bring Groundhouses so they do no damage though. But this it's really funny.
I haven't seen Vayne at his new potential yet.
Okay, well, let's bring. Why don't we bring Bayleona? If I could find them, that would be great. But there it is. And I put it in the wrong lobby. This is very frustrating. Holy smokes, I can't find them. My eyes. My eyes. There we go. Alright, let's put him here. Let's do this. Let's make you a god. And he should have everything involved, I think. No you don't. You need all the things. Okay. Well. You don't need that.
Shamari asked, like, Rimuru? I'm trying to figure out what that was relevant to. I think about her S1, but I wouldn't
Rimuru's is a full pierce. No. No. I think you mean Demon Lord Rimuru? No. No way.
I don't think so.
Not the same thing at all. Why did I have...
What are you doing over here, man?
I don't know why that build was like that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I genuinely have no idea.
I think you're covering up for some secret experiment you're working on.
Oh, I was definitely doing something.
Trying to discover a new flavor of cheese. Maybe.
Bro. Whatever. Doesn't really matter what he's doing. So why don't we just... Continue. Bye. Oh, yeah. Let's go see what this does. Yes, Lena, let's go. Belly. Alright, let's give this guy... Jesus. Okay.
Vayne's cool, bro.
This was totally necessary to do. To give. So stupid.
Yeah, that's just silly. It's just
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's very silly. Just
goodness.
yeah.
Oh my god.
Gonna be able to kill? No, but it's fine. Yeah, his skills are super fast, and he just has massive damage, and it's just his DPS is off the charts. Yeah, they just literally just gave him 16 chemo cap, which this isn't obviously the best setup I have on him right at the moment, but goddamn.
Yeah. It hurts. It hurts. It just it is what it is.
But she's good, man. She's literally Vayne's best friend. Vayne's best friend. Any of these units' best friends. And the one thing that I really do like about her, and the fact, and the idea, the overarching idea of units like her being released, is that she creates a want to make mono attribute teams, which is cool, in my opinion. I don't know, like, dude, just maybe when we have content that wants mono attribute teams, like maybe we have like some raid boss in the future that's like, oh, you can only use earth skill units in this battle on these battles. Oh shit, I'll just bring Graphel and a bunch of her buddies, and we'll run train. But doesn't exactly always happen like that. So for now, she's a fun enabler. She is going to be a sidekick. She does really good damage. I wouldn't say she's the main DPS. Like, maybe if you're super new, you're probably your best DPS. But if you do have units like Vayne, I mean mostly just Vayne, who are gonna get some massive cap boost from her, then yeah, she's fun, honestly. And the fact that they're again releasing units like Saintly Melee, like her, that do enable others as well as have some good DPS in themselves. Sure, we're in a new era of power creep right now. We really are. I've been working with the boys on some DPS checks, and it's a bit ridiculous right now. So she's fun, she's cool. Must pull Buddha, never. I really don't think. I'm trying to think back of like when the actual time we actually said something was a must pull, and it's more of always just been arcs that are just crazy utility for your accounts.
Yeah,
like that's always it is. Units are
crazy supports like Spearmade Materia.
Right, supports are the main deal here. Not, I mean, she's the flavor of the week, I guess I should say.
Yeah, at this rate, there's going to be another one. Like must pull if a physical DPS unit comes out, and it's almost a joke to ask if they're a must pull at this point.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe one of these days we'll get proven wrong, and there will be a physical DPS unit that comes out that's like, this is the god. But even like Shift Bayland, many people considered him that, and now he's like pales in comparison to these units we have. Even
to the actual DPS, yeah, for usability, maybe not.
Even when I'm considering that he has all the Slayers and he's no attribute and all that stuff, like. These units nowadays, even if they're element locked, they're getting packed with so many modifiers, and like there's such easy workarounds nowadays, even as a beginner. Like you can just shred through everything the same way you'd shred through it with Bayland. So it's like an oxymoron asking if a PDPS is must pull now.
Yeah, for sure. So you want to talk about the Ark? Let's do that. Cloud God Murder Uvis, which is definitely a sweet name. The fact that you can literally just shorten it to Murder. Plus, it's a big ass worm. Big ass worm with
big ass worm.
It's just gonna eat everything in the path. It's kind of cool. But the main draw of it is many people thought of when it was first coming out was the Arc skill. Here's the thing. We'll get to that. It's just UR Arcs nowadays. There's some interesting things going on with UR Arcs nowadays, because none of them have even come close to power creeping like the OGs. Like the first 3 or 4 UR Arcs that we got were just so ridiculous. In the past year, they've just been adding side creep, and it's just never been good as the best, or as good as the OGs essentially.
Can I give you a thought, and you can tell me what you think? To me, these new URs that are coming out, it's not the passive anymore that's ever really interesting. It's their arc skill at max level that makes people even think, especially veterans.
URs specifically, for the support URs, like I'm thinking to myself, the Holy Wars, the Balameets, um, even the base ones with the high damage caps, like the Prefects, like the Archbeing, they're passive, sure. But in general, what you're pulling for URs is most likely the arc skill and how it's going to be used. This one specifically at level 1 already gives a 5,000 damage cap boost, break 50%, damage taken minus 25. Like, it's already really good at level 1. And by that I mean it's already really good for the held unit. A very important point of this is that it is only affecting the unit that it's on, right? What we've seen from arc skills in the past is that it's an AoE. Usually they're AoE. So like this damage cap boost is damage taken off would normally be applied to the whole team. But for this one, since it's a pretty high damage cap for it, at level 10, they only forced it to be a single unit, which, I mean, it feels great for lower cap units, like the Logias, like the Espets, like the, Levi's and stuff like that. Sure, you can throw this on there, activate it, and it'll feel pretty damn cool for 40 seconds. But for units like Vayne, for units like Graphel, for units like Leona even, who have higher general caps, of course, that's a non-dual wield and single wield itself. It's generally just going to be less effective, and you could probably just run a different arc that you don't have to use an arc skill for, to be honest. So while this is a cool thing to play around with, and I have it at level 10 because I want that 10k damage cap because I'm a simp for caps, and I love the potential theory crafting around future units that I could give cap to, this kind of cap to. It's not gonna be incredibly good at all by any means. Not only that, this comes through testing, and when testing this, that break percentage is additive, right? It's not a multiplicative thing like the Loug Zeus UR. It is just straight additive, which means you have it's basically like you're giving a unit a 2 more breaker passives, like breakers a plus 50% break to that unit. It's giving that twice. But here's the thing. We have SSR arcs like Phoenix Blow, which already gives a base 100% break. We have arcs like Terragon Seas, which gives 120% additive break boost. So even at a level 10 arc skill that took 9 extends, a combination of extends plus UR dust to reach it, it still pales in comparison to a very usable SSR arcs. And you have to actually activate the arc skill for it. Like, you don't just get it all the time. So this stuff is cool. I think it's definitely going to be a very interesting thing to min max for specific spots, but this arc skill itself for the UR is not that crazy, in my opinion. So I just how to get that out of the way. But the passives itself, I actually don't mind at all. I think it's actually really funny that they gave this attack evasion at effects 1 activate, basically because this is a big ass like monstrosity that's just going to try to eat everything. And you essentially should not be able to evade anything with this equipped, or as the big old worm, as Murda. So I think it's really funny. At least that's how I picture it when I read this passive. You do get 20% boosted stats. You get the continuous high magic barrier effect, which is minus 35% magic damage. And then for every skill at max stock damage, so that first use at max stock damage, you'll get 30% damage boost as well as 3,000 damage cap. So in PvE, yeah, you're probably going to be hitting, I'm going to say multiplayer with 3,000 damage cap boost on your first skill using Pirate's Feast and all that stuff. Sure, great. But that 3,000 cap you can just use for a different arc, especially if you're not going to stack that with the UR arc skill, then there's no point. I don't know, it's a very conditional cap boost, but you can make use of it if you feel like it.
I think it should have been higher.
I think it should have been higher too, but who are we to say? I mean, here's the thing. If you're in PvE, which is how I reached my highest caps of these units, like 103k, 104k with Vayne, I was using this 3,000 with a level 10 arc skill, which gave me 13,000 cap boost overall. Cool, big, funny, big numbers, but like, do you really need that? Probably not. We don't really have the content that forces us to use that, honestly. As for the learnables, I'd love that we get a skill 2 breakthrough nowadays. Big fan of that. I also do love that this is our first geyser that we have that synergizes perfectly with Shift Goroth. It's our first one. We don't have Beast. We don't have Beast or Bird geyser yet, do we? No, we got Bird geyser, I think. But yeah, using Fish geyser can basically enable everything with Shift Goroth. Nowadays, his special, so that's kind of cool. Skill 2 breakthrough, which gives more cap on skill 2, and then we're looking at 2-handed claw. Of course, they put on this UR to make you buy it because Graphel doesn't have it. Stone enhance learnable is actually pretty nice. If you're building for a super defensive, super physical damage mitigation build for 12 SC, 15% damage or damage taken as a luxury skill is not bad. But yeah, not a bad UR at all by any means. It's just more of, it's one of those arcs that's just, you know, here's some funny big numbers that you can get. Cool. But yeah, that's the banner stuff. Now, Buddha. I know you didn't remake a video. I know I didn't remake a video. And I'm just gonna preface this. The video that I made way back in, you know, about all of the URs and us having a ticket for anniversary. The main point of that was giving up, you know, telling people just how OP they can be when using them to the best of their ability, and maybe having some UR dust and stuff involved. It's not necessarily a guide of like, you know, you should absolutely pick this first over the other ones, because nowadays, with the content that we have, with the availability, you know, the power creep of the units that we have, a lot of them really aren't necessary. You know, maybe not as necessary as they were before, especially for things like time trials and stuff. So, I don't know. The video that I put out is good. Yours is good for, you know, people who are questioning what to get. But there's a very obvious tier listing of like what URs that are available. And what I'm talking about in general is like, as you guys have probably played through the event, I'm doing this New Year gift challenge thing only one time per day. You get a ticket every day, which lets you go into the trading space and pick, you know, all this stuff, sure, but most importantly, UR Ark trade ticket after 3 days. And with that UR Ark trade ticket, the idea is to get a UR Ark that you want in your account. And I think a synonymous top 3 for everybody, or probably should be for everybody in general, you know, without looking at everybody's specific accounts, would be the Great War Ruin. That's number 1, or no, one of them. Council of 10, which is another for SCT recharge, and then Theopolis, which is probably the best arc in the game, in all honesty. Just for, you know, overall package.
Yeah, it's become very prevalent, I think, as the game has evolved.
Oh my god.
Theopolis has like jumped.
Those, oh yeah, dude, Theopolis is correct. But those 3 right there, Great War Ruin, Theopolis Lost Magnets, and Council of 10. If you pick any of those, like,
you're Gucci.
You should be happy. Like, good GG's. Like, congratulations.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, we're getting into some, like, you know, a little bit more niche cases. But I think these 3, Holy War, Archbeing, and the Melee Mare, are probably like the tier 2 picks, I would say. Melee Mare has some fantastic learnables as well as passives, and, you know, just being a very good arc in general. Archbeing is, of course, for your single wielders, and having some extra, you know, getting that Favor Sword learnable is pretty nice for older, especially putting on the older units. Similar to how it feels when you put like dual wield on older units, you'll just get that massive boost. And it being a very, very good arc in general, or passively equipping. And then Holy War is probably my favorite defensive arc in the game, as well as it has Giant Killing 2 and all this good stuff. So these 3 are going to be the next rotation. If you don't have any of those, if you already have the top 3, but they're sick. I mean, even in those top 6, there's no bad option. Like, seriously, there's no friggin' bad option. All of them are so damn good. And then even here, we're looking at Loug Zeus, God of Ruin UR, which is amazing for breaker strats. Kagutsuchi, which is, you know, essentially just fire cap raise. Solaris is basically thunder cap raise. Lily Matter is cool for especially light and dark magic, but magic in general. And then Imperator Eldravana is kind of dope. As you'll see, I did pick Amaterasu just because I didn't really care for any of the other ones for extends, and a lot of them I actually have already maxed out, so I told people this was the worst option, and I actually ended up picking it because I just wanted, maybe a closer to a max UR dust or a max extend like Amaterasu in it. If I ever get dupes, that's what I'm trying to say. Because if you already have all this stuff, you can actually pick one of these for a extend for that arc itself. But yeah, there's some pretty cool ones. I don't know, but if you have any input into the change of tiers there.
Yeah, but I was just going to talk about maybe the perspective of a very new account who doesn't have anything, right? And you're looking at those top three and saying, which one? Right? War, Council of 10, and Theopolis.
It's a tough call, dude.
It's a tough call because I see many different angles that would make me decide different things.
Okay. One point that I want to bring up about Great War Gun, right?
Yeah.
While it is an incredibly powerful arc,
Uh-huh.
and it used to be absolutely 100% mandatory standard in time trials. They've kind of gone away from time stuff in time trials, which leads to this being less important. Yes, that's 100% true. Does it decrease from the effectiveness or power of it? No, but we base a lot of our tier listing, our content, or our power of things in the game on the content that we have to use it in, right? This outside of funny damage cap number boosting with supports and using specials, maybe it's not the best arc in the game. And that's the thing. It never was always the best arc in the game. It was always the most game changing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it was the only thing that gave you that instant specials, that instant team wide specials at level 10 arc skill. And it's still cracked as all hell, but
there's other contenders.
And that's the thing. I also don't enjoy putting this out there as the number one. People going to grab it for their Virgils, for their Graphels, and watching them use ults in multiplayer. Like that's like the one side effect that I hate.
Yep.
Is that it is a very good arc. It's just watching people spam it for no reason, getting double, triple specials in a row. It's just like, oh god.
But then let's also talk about the other two, right?
Right.
Because
right. Let's talk about Theopolis right first.
Okay, let's talk about Theopolis. Theopolis, if you look at it, if I'm looking at it from every angle, from arc passive, from teachables to AER to arc skill, I think I put this at the top.
It's honestly feels like it's 10s in all areas. Like, it is an absolute staple, in my opinion, and it's one of the best arcs for PvP, one of the best arcs for PvE, for that passives. It is also used for exploitation strategies for like super endgame players. It's used some of its. I mean, having Giga Week is the only place to get Giga Week in the game. And maybe I sometimes forget how many times I use this in the game. Mm-hmm. But just to have degrees all attribute resistance for all enemies, like so
super
stupid.
QOL. The best.
None of the other stuff is really that important. It's literally just Giga Week. The best learnable.
Yes.
Or Geether Reward. This wand turns into the best wand in the entire game. Like, I'm sorry, what? For things like Lennius, Maja, Lagerbos, etc.
Yep.
And then the skill.
Yep.
The skill is at max, and even at base, it's still minus 25 resistance, and but it groups.
Yep.
Flinchable enemies. It drops their resistance even at level 10 by 50.
Yeah.
And is an actual attack. Like,
I think
every aspect of it, every facet of it is just cracked.
I think because the next one we're going to talk about, right? Yep. What changed my perspective on Theopolis is when we went through all of those multiplayer bosses. Ones that, in the past we deemed like, you have to bring this kind of unit to beat it. You have to bring that. Theopolis made it like even grounds. Every single boss.
Right. It's funny you mentioned that, because I was thinking that to myself not earlier, but like maybe a couple of days ago, been like, yes, I do have a level 10. So when I use it on boss waves, and especially on things like the Corrosion boss, which I can instant kill everything and drop the boss by 50, or like Bahamut, you drop it all by 50, or anything that you can just drop it, and maybe that your unit you're bringing is normally like 75 or 80 resist to the enemy, and you just drop it down to 25 or 30 and just do 3 times as much damage. just by someone bringing that for you, yeah, that's big stuff.
So yeah, huge.
Very,
And
very big.
looking at Council of 10 to kind of segue into it. I'm always looking at these arcs at their arc skill level 10, because I think if you pick a UR arc that like is going to be your first mainstay, you want to get that thing to arc skill level 10 ASAP, as quickly as you can.
That should be your focus to dump
Yes.
dust, right?
Yes.
Here's the thing about Council of 10.
Council of 10.
The main draw of it is its arc skill.
Yes.
Passives don't really care for, except for the max skill stock +1 during when you use the arc skill. Damage cap +2000 is great. I get it. But in general, the arc trait itself, the passives, aren't that great. Learnables, could not care less. I have never once in my life been like, oh, let me go pop out Council to teach this awesome OP skill. No, not once.
Nope.
The Arc of the Reward, I do think is very good. This is one of the only places to get a magical attack boost as well as physical attack boost for the first 40 seconds. This is pretty strong, but it's not necessarily for most situations, in my opinion. Definitely usable in a sport, for sure good, just not OP. The reason this arc is suggested so heavily is because even at level 1, I will say even at level 1, you can get 40% of your total SCT recharged by using this. Where is this useful? Mostly PvE by yourself. Not multiplayer, not PvP because you obviously can't, not time trials in general, but mostly just PvE. Using this itself on wave 1 or maybe one wave boss battles, it can be very, very OP. Now this game has turned into a lot of, now that it's coming to its late end, there's not as much PvE content. You don't necessarily need this type of thing. I don't know, man. You go ahead off on Council, because I know you had a different input on Council when you were, especially for you, when you think this was your first max dust UR?
It was, because at the time I had enough dust to max a skill, an arc skill, and I didn't have Gwar accessible. So because I wanted to enjoy the game in the here and now, I had seen you had recently maxed out Council of 10.
Oh,
and
so fun.
It was like, oh, I want a taste of that. So to me, and still, even looking at Theo and my newfound respect for it, I'm still going to give Council of 10 my favorite. It's got the most fun factor out of any arc skill level 10 for me. Because there is nothing I love more in this game than loading into a final boss wave. And I mean, this is not including one wave stages, obviously, but still a lot of my gameplay is loading into a boss wave after a second wave with all my stocks from Pirate's Feast, dumping it all, and then just recharging it all again with Council of 10 with extra stocks on top of it. Like, there's nothing more satisfying to me. Mm-hmm. So because that, and I know you mentioned that, like, I think I can see, looking at the bigger picture in multiplayer, it's not the best for everyone because only one person can bring it. But if you're that one person in a lot of multiplayer fights, you are the hard carry for that stage, for a lot of pickup groups.
Yeah, probably.
So that was another area that I found a ton of enjoyment from it, because I would go into these stages that I knew with Pirate's Feast and a Council of 10 level 10, I could solo carry all the multiplayer matches. It didn't matter who I was running with.
Right.
So that added a ton of fun factor and value from this arc to me. And so my experience, because I was never really into the time trials, and honestly, when I got into time trials, that's literally when they took away time stop.
Yeah, they did. The last 3 have just been like, oh, nope, sorry, no time's up.
Gwar never made that impact on my personal experience. So Council of 10, if you can get Council of 10, and then I'm thinking about, like you said, like for a person who's like starting out story, being able to like load into any boss wave and just pop that and get all that SCT. It's
at least 40%
great.
at level 1, and still going to be a lot.
Yeah. Exactly. And I mean, you can get a bunch. I mean, not a bunch, but you can get a few UR dusts with this celebration. So it's not even like you're starting with an arc skill level 1 if you're doing what you need to do.
Right.
So anyway, so Council of 10 for me is still the most fun arc in the game. Now, I think once I get a level 10 Theopolis, my opinion will change, if I'm being honest. With everything I have in the game, because I have because I have Pirate Suits, because I have because we now have these units that don't need a full round of stocks and then a recharge of stocks to do what they need to do. Theopolis just seems so
right, and that's something people don't think about. Is like we do have units nowadays that can overpower creep this type of stuff that's not needed anymore, right? Like you said. If a unit can one tap through all their skills and kill the boss instead of getting 2 full charges and having to kill the boss, like that's big news. You don't need this anymore at all. But it doesn't take away from it. So I think, like we've talked about, the passives, the learnables, the arc reward, the focus of this arc and why it's so good is literally the arc skill. And I hate to say it, but the overall efficiency and choosing this is based on the arc skill when it all boils down to it. And for the people that do say you should beware when picking, because if you pick this without the knowledge that you need generally a pretty high arc skill, like arc skill level 10 is generally not needed, but level 9 will be your SCT gauge for fulfilling to full. If you have no way to get that UR dust consistently and to build it up relatively quickly, it might feel a little bad in your account to not be able to use it at full. So with that in mind, Theopolis, Grey War Ruin, those other arcs, and even if you had to pick other usable arcs like the Arch Beings, like the Melee Mares, like the Holy Wars, in the meantime, absolutely. Absolutely are not bad options to pick. So it's just the fact that SCT regen stuff in this game is so limited.
Yep.
I think is one of the tough parts about which one to pick, because this is the only one with it.
Yes. Yes. So my answer to someone who was asking between between Council of 10 and Theopolis, I said if you
yes,
have...
the answer is yes.
The answer's first is yes, but if you have to pick, my basic answer is if you have the means to get it up to arc skill at least level 9 quickly, I would pick Council of 10. If you don't see that happening for a very long time, getting enough dusts, and you want to get a UR arc that's just so usable, as soon as you get it, I would pick Theopolis.
Right. And here's the thing, adding on to that, dude, it's not like this is going to be I doubt this is going to be our last UR selector ever.
No. They've set a new standard.
Like, they dropped one for 3.5 Annie. They dropped one for New Year's. What's to say they don't drop another one for 4th Annie?
Exactly.
Like, why not?
Exactly.
So maybe you're between 2 this time. Pick one. Maybe in 3 months we'll get another one. For 4 months we'll get another one.
Yes.
Oh, no.
And if that's the case, if that's what you're going to bet on, pick Theo so you can use it. Stock up dusts so when Council of 10 comes around next time, you can snag it and upgrade it immediately. Right? There's not that wait time.
Yep.
So that's an option. There's definitely
sure.
multiple perspectives.
Awesome. I'm glad we went over that. So I think the next hot topic that I'd like to go over is the fun little arc, or the fun little pack they gave in
Yeah. I'm going to go use the restroom. So
yeah, I'll start.
I actually don't have to go. I'm going to...
Oh, okay. Well, we can talk about it. So this New Year set Ultra, interestingly enough, paid 9,600 gems. What it gave you, all right, so if we take out the LO arc at all, don't care about it, whatever, what it gave you is 3 UR dusts, 30 pulls on the banner. It gave you a cryostone thing or whatever to help max on a unit. Like, it gave you enough stuff to be worth at 9,600 already. But then it gave us this sweet little LR arc. And now here's where the conversation lies. It is a 100% pay gem only acquirable thing. You cannot get this outside buying that pack. It costs 9,600 pay gems. That is about $100 US. I don't know how much it costs for you guys around the world, but it is about $100 to get. And like Innate mentions, get it for the UR dust. So did I. But this is an interesting thing, right? The LR arc itself, okay, passives, okay, whatever, damage dealt 20%, damage taken minus 20%, and it gives all these interesting boosts for using them on auto. I get it, especially if it's your support. I get it. The passives, cool. New Year's Get Up, Kogami Mochi, and some more damage, skill damage and damage cap. I get it. The true winner here is, if you ever get this arc, the true power where this lies is quite literally the AER, the Arc Ether Reward. Why is that? Well, Pokemon Doll. Okay, this passive right here is stupid. Boost unit soul drop rate in quests by 1.8 times. Okay, I am gonna make a video on this because I think it is an important thing that needs to be said before this thing does go away. If you are even questioning, if you're on the fence about getting this or not. What it does is, yes, it boosts unit soul drop rating quests by 1.8 times. Okay. What that does is, if you are auto running in story, and like a lot of people do to build units, right? Let's say this is my choice of my map choice. I go to Finding Theria hard, right here in the center of the Aldana capital, Imperial capital Aldana. Go here, go to hard mode, and I run generally a solo unit on this. So go here, let's go here. So for her, if I was running Graphel, every quest has on hard mode has a 5% chance to drop a unit soul. Well, if I drop this on her and give this, these quests, hello. These quests now have a 9% drop rate for souls. Okay. That means every 100 quests, I do about 100 quests an hour. Every hour is 9 souls rather than 5 souls. That may not seem like a big boost, but over the amount of days, the amount of weeks that you'll be running to build units quickly, I do about 2,000 quests a day, 2,000 plus, if not more, on auto running. If I have it running 24/7, that's 180 to 200 souls a day. Normally, I'd be getting 100, 120 maybe. That's a big boost to building units. Building units out specifically, if you use this kind of thing, and if you've been doing it in the past, it is a huge feeling when you come back after like a 20-hour stint and you have 200 friggin' souls to use on your unit, whether to use on max SC. Like, you don't have to worry about the mother souls anymore. You can just pump them into their SC. You can pump them into Awakens. You can pump that into their ward. It is very, 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 very fast.
And I'm going to say something.
Yes.
I'm not going to reappear, but I'm going to say something.
Yes, hi.
I think it is very naive to think that Awakenings 7 and 8 aren't going to be a thing.
Yeah, they're going to happen eventually. I can also assume, as well as, more SC procs, or SC from Enhanced 6, like you'll need more souls. The soul grind in this game is the true end game. Building units and getting them to their max efficiency via all their full SC, full Awakens, ward, all the boosted stuff. Like, it's just so much. It's just so much you need to grind souls for. And this just gives it a massive boost. Now, in the past, us endgame players have been exploiting the thing called VO, where you use the Theopolis Arc as a support and get the double soul grind. Well, you don't need to do that anymore. You really don't. If you have this, and if you choose to get it, this Pokemon Doll gives it essentially a 9% drop rate versus Theo's 10%. Like, it's hard to ignore the fact that this is the most OP accessory that we've ever had for quality of life in the game, for unit progression, account progression, team building. Yeah. It's the arc itself, okay, whatever. But this Arc Ether word right here will change how you build units and going, like, the speed of building units and fleshing out your account. If that is something you care about, and you are a Dolphin even a whale, and you decide, I mean, probably the whales have already all bought this. But from our small talks of endgame players and veterans alike, pretty much all of them have bought this. At least ones who do spend on the game at all. Pretty much everyone has bought this. It's just, I don't love the fact that it sounds like I'm selling it to you. I don't want that to be the case. I just want you guys to see the potency of what it actually is.
Okay.
And it's super potent.
I want to use that as a segue. If you're done talking about, specifics about the art. Barleen did say, I saw him say it in the Discord logs, they were gauging the response on a paid-only LR arc, right? And it made me think, because obviously I think all the free-to-play players reeled at this, no question. I don't think I saw a single player, even the paid ones, say, yeah, I don't really like it. I never saw anyone be an advocate for a paid-only arc. Never. But I also don't think I saw a single paid player say they weren't going to buy it.
Right, and here's the thing with the pack itself, right? You weren't buying from the pack just the LR arc. You were buying the extra shit that came with it, which was already worth the 9,600 paid gems. And the fact that they're just throwing this in for paying players to get an extra quality of life on top of what you would have already been buying. Like, I was already getting the UR dust. Like, there's no question about it.
Yes. So
and multiple other people already said the same thing, that I was already getting the UR dust.
And so with that in mind, I fail, and I'm sure that the community feedback in JP is probably very similar. But so with all that considered, I fail to see how in any situation this won't happen again.
It's almost certainly going to happen again, dude. The fact that I can imagine the how many people have bought this, in all seriousness.
So
bought that pack, and it's going to drastically inflate their numbers, because it's not necessarily everyone's paying for the arc itself. They're paying for that pack regardless.
And so that's what I'm saying. Like, how can you possibly gauge the pay to buy an arc aspect when, like you just said, you threw it in a package that people aren't even paying it for the arc? Okay,
so just as a devil's advocate type of thing.
Okay.
What if this arc did not have this type of AER? What if it was like some generic kind of crap AER? Would we care about it at all? Probably not.
But if you,
in all seriousness,
but if this arc was thrown on a package with 3 UR dusts, everyone would still be buying it.
Right. At base, did it matter if this arc was on there or not? People were going to buy the pack? No. They were going to buy the pack regardless. But now that it has something so ridiculously busted for quality of life, for all account progression, to lock that specifically behind this, it's tough.
And so my question is, how can you possibly gauge honest feedback in this situation?
I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it. But the fact that this is going to jack up their inflated numbers so much, because people do see the value in this.
Right.
Many people do, and I think rightly so. I think the value is there. It's just
confusing. It's
what are they going to put on these paid only stuff? Like, seriously, this is a very interesting and maybe bad trend to start on.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Just difficult,
I'm going to buy it regardless, just because I see the value. It just feels a little bad to think about what else are they going to push that barrier, right? Between the paying players progression wise, right? What are they going to lock behind? Because it's not necessarily that important for your overall gameplay, but for account progression, for fun in the game of using your units that you want to build quickly and play around with, this is huge.
Yes. And I'm not going to be naive and say, like, they need to make money to keep the game up. So
100%.
It has to be done, right? Like, you got to make it worth it for players to pay. so that the bills can get paid and then we can all still play, right? Like there's definitely a
100%.
cycle of life that needs to be maintained, and the results are there with this decision, right? Pay to play players are buying this, and not necessarily just this, but the pack regardless.
Oh, they're getting their holiday bonuses this year.
But I don't think it should, like, I don't know if I have fully developed thoughts.
If there was a smaller option for free-to-play players, like in all seriousness, okay, so I don't consider Theopolis a realistic arc to use to soul farm and all that kind of stuff. I really don't. Level 10 URs, no. This being behind an LR paywall, I get it, it's a 1.8x, but if there was a smaller boosting thing that could, as an exception for like maybe a 1.2x grindable event equip or something that could be, decrease that gap for everyone, in all honesty. I think that would have been nice. But they did just drop. I mean, here's the thing. If I was in the position to buy just this arc for 9,600, I probably would have done it. That's the difference between releasing an arc that is just in addition to on a paid pack that I would have bought already, but this arc itself, this AER itself, is probably worth that much. Like, it's just as powerful, in my opinion, for account progression as Honey Elixir is to, or a max level Council of 10 arc is to gameplay.
Well, and that's only for players who can auto farm.
Right.
So that
should be most, should be like everyone.
Should be everyone is what you said?
Should be everyone. Should be auto farming regardless.
But there's a lot of people who just can't because of device requirements, and who just won't because it's
right. For people who just don't farm at all, and that's a different way to play. That's a funny thing nowadays. Quality of life in this game has skyrocketed to where your mother soul drop, your gifting of mother souls have just been through the roof. You can use those whenever you want. You can almost every event has these soul accumulation events where you get massive souls. Like, do you need to be doing daily grinding, 24/7 grinding and water running? No, you really don't. In order to progress your account pretty well. So yeah, with that in mind, you don't necessarily need it as much. Like, if this arc was dropped a year and a half, 2 years ago, the value would have been just absurd. Because there was not really any way to do that, like, outside of forcing yourself to auto run. We didn't have the massive soul accumulation stuff. We didn't have the massive mother soul rates that we get nowadays, and the ability to gain as many mother souls as we can. So, yeah, the value's there. It's just tough, man. It is really a tough spot. I'm not excited to see how they're going to do this in the future.
Me neither.
I mean, I'm personally excited because I like, for my account, cool stuff. Nobody shit.
Selfish.
But like, for the health of the community, yikes.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about, like, I don't know if yeah, never mind. Let me not go there.
Anywho.
What else, man? What else?
What else? We got the event going on. We talked about the New Year's gift challenge. Do this every day. We got this stuff for, like, I think it was, what did we get in there?
The fishing.
Oh, the fishing. Yes, for the fishing. There's really nothing.
That's where you fish. You don't. I was over searching the Granzelia map for like 30 minutes trying to find the fishing spot. Yeah.
Whoops. As for the event itself, pretty self-explanatory. Do the bonus challenge, do these generals games, get the tickets to do these extra challenges. And again, 50 souls a day, soul accumulation. Just do that. This stuff I think this is partly the Arc Ether reward stuff. For these 5, if you just do these, this is 2% Ether for early arcs, this is 10% Ether for early arcs, so this is a good way of jumping up, boosting those arcs up to full Ether. And then the trading space, like we talked about before, some of the... So let's see the stuff that I bought already. We got prisms, got relic shards, New Year's Gacha tickets, radiances, and the event equip, which we talked about before, fought in Graphel. So a pretty for part 1, really not much going on. This was extremely easy to get to 20k. I haven't been grinding this at all. I know a lot of people finish this in the first day with all the refreshes that we've been given. Up to 30,000, I think it is right now. And then, we'll get part 2 next week or this upcoming week. So look forward to finishing that all out. It's not that much left.
Did you go through the New Year medal trading space? Because there's some goodies in there.
I did not. But that is also a reason of why you would want to be auto running. The New Year's medal trading space. This
Pretty
stuff you get for any kind of quest clear, any kind of event clear. You'll get these medals while this event is going on. There's a lot of really good stuff in here. And we're going to scroll down to exactly what I bought already because it's a ton of stuff.
I need to
sold out. Anything that says sold out is the stuff that I bought this year. So there's gacha tickets in here, of course. And just for mention, the trading space itself, you get 2 medals every auto run clear, like story clear. So I've been soul grinding, so I've gotten a ton of medals just from soul grinding for Graphel. And I bought the New Year's gacha tickets. There's a prayer UR Stardust in here. Do not miss that at all. Absolutely get it. There's temporary gacha tickets, which you can either use or save. In the meantime, I think they expire in February. There's mega clusters. There's a ton of LB materials that you can, limit breaker materials you can get. There's a ton of Godforge stuff you can get. And then there's these 2, I think there's these knuckles and this axe, a claw and an axe that you can get for the equips, which are okay. They're not really, anything game breaking, but they're definitely usable. Huh? Yep. Bailey says 10 New Year's 8 medals per run for event stuff. Yep. And then 2 for any stage clear on auto run, which is huge.
For sure.
So
good stuff. I mean,
you've been your face has been
over on the side.
It's been in the middle of my.
What do you mean? That's my
Every
screen.
time you come forward to take a drink.
Oh, it just goes in the middle. I'm drinking some juice, bro.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it is. All right. But yeah, nothing else really that much going on.
No. And
I
was gonna segue into some topics of conversation, maybe.
Okay.
See what you think, but yeah, like you said, nothing to do outside of the event grind, and some things introduced to the game. But if I had to sum up this New Year's in a few sentences, it seems that it was, or maybe I can say in one sentence, it was a lot of gachas and not a lot of content.
Holy crap, dude! The gachas. Hold up. Yeah, we didn't even go over all that, did we?
No, we did
can
not.
Sum that up real quick. Units not held. Cool.
Paid. Did they say this was going to be paid when they announced it?
Yeah, they did. They did.
Oh, okay. I
so it's guaranteed. So it's a 10x. It's guaranteed to have 1 10 spin or so at the end with 1 unit that you don't have. 1 spin only. Sure, whatever. Don't care, honestly. If you're missing, if you have a 50% chance at Bayland, shift Bayland, and Davin, don't do it. Just don't do that. There's no point. Those units, Balin's great, awesome. Roland's great. Alice is great. You really don't need. You get a single unit in the past 4 months, you're all right. Besides DD, she sucks. Any of the other banners? We now have 3 UR banners to choose from, which are paid. To be fair, for me, and if you want to force yourself, chase URs if you're a paying player, these are pretty worth. It's just, I can't bring myself to just tell people to do these. I did mine because I was very fortunate enough to get the UR on it, the new UR.
Wow. Congrats.
But I also wanted the credentials anyways for it, and I knew I would be spending to get these credentials on the paid banner, so I figured why not use these here for Graphel. So I did mine. But they have 3 of these able to be used. You get, honestly, these are generally kind of, if you're going to do the pools already, already do the paid pools on the paid banner, if you were doing it on a step up, these are definitely worth it. And they have 3 UR banners. They have the step up. They have this unit not held banner. It's a lot. The only the beautiful thing about this is that the fact that they have been giving us a ton of tickets. We have gotten at least 2 multis, if not 3 multis by now, of tickets throughout all the stuff, if I remember correctly. I don't know if you have any idea of how many we've gotten, but it's been quite a bit.
We've gotten quite a bit. I've used as many as I can farm up. And I actually did some summons for Graphel.
Yeah?
I did. So I've done all
I guess they didn't go well.
Tickets. You know, I've got Leon
by the way,
on the
your
home screen.
Your thing is
I know. Well, I just realized Rufus an hour ago donated 10 and said first lap step up. So I was going to honor that donation. But my Steam is like jacked up because as you can see, connecting to purchase server. It did this in the past, so I can't buy anything on here, unfortunately. So.
Well, we're waiting. If you want to go on your phone and do it, like, you're more than welcome to.
Well, then I'd have to figure out how to mirror my phone to the computer.
Ooh,
so
okay,
it's
you're
not.
Right, you're right. The pages don't transfer.
You know, that's one of the items that I left in Mexico. Was my adapter to connect my phone to the PC. So it's big sad. So it seems that $10 is going to go to my credit card, Rufus. So thank you very much. But. I'll tell you, I did all the tickets up except for I think I have 3 tickets left to buy in the trading space that you showed.
Right.
And then I have spent too many crystals. Way too many crystals.
Why are you down to 75k, sir?
Almost 15,000 worth of crystals.
Oh my god. Well, let your soul above 75. That allows you to pity any unit that you want. So.
What now?
You had a little restraint.
Your yes.
Is still intact.
I mean, we know what's coming after all of this, so.
Okay. Well, we can talk about that. Is that something you wanted to segue into?
I was, in closing, I didn't know if we were there yet.
I mean, I think we're there.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, New Year's is what it is. And I mean, they've never dropped a ton of content on New Year's. So we've gotten a story update in the past with our Dean. But usually it's just a lot of gotchas and not much else.
Right. So what do we expect in the coming month for LC? We already know that on the 12th is the next story update. They've already announced that. So it's in 9 days. That is almost definitely going to be another unit, a new unit, probably story related like we expect every year. It's the same story. By the same story, I mean, same thing that happens. New unit, new story, coming mid-January, January 12th. But there's going to be another week, or another update 2 weeks after that. What do we expect then? Well, if the last 2 years have told us anything, we do expect another collab. In all seriousness. I know, to me, it still kind of feels like the Tales of series, Tales of collab just happened. And it ended on being like the first week, second week of December, which was pretty damn recently. We do expect one at the end of January, honestly. So strap in, get ready for that. If you've already finished all of your pulls for this, start saving. And by that I mean, God bless your pulls if you're free to play, because this whole season coming up is aggressive. We have New Year's, new story unit 2 weeks later. Then 2 weeks later is usually a collab. I'm not saying collab is going to happen, but collab could very well happen in the next month or so. Then we have Valentine's Day banners, White Day banners in March. Probably another collab in there in the meantime. Last year we had it was Attack on Titan in January, February. And then we had 1 unit in between, and then we had a rerun of the slime.
Slime.
Like, gross. And then, so Valentine's Day in February, White Day in March, and then in April, anniversary. Like, this shit it's a lot of, especially if you're playing this game to play the game and get, maybe not necessarily unit collecting or all unit collecting. There's a lot of stuff that's going to be released in the next 4 months, 3 months. So keep that in mind. There's more stuff coming. It's not. This is not the end. There is no reprieve here. It's coming in hot.
No, there is rarely, from what I've felt, there's rarely ever an easy answer when people ask, "What do I save for?" It's a difficult. Because even now collabs are not the pinnacle of performance, right? Collabs are just the most rare things that you can get because of their limited nature. But like you said, Virgil and Shift Nero kind of introduced this new standard, but to get them to those levels, it's like very conditional. You got to have the stuff to do it. Whereas the units that have released immediately after them, you just pretty much get that level of power without really doing
bring them out and they
anything.
just dominate.
So, and then in that case, it's like if you spent all your stuff, it's like, congrats, you got Virgil and Nero, but now you got to work twice as hard to be performing anyone who re-rolled 2 weeks after the collab ended. So, like, what are your priorities? And so it's...
we are in a new age of power creep. And by new age of power creep, I mean DPS power creep. Right?
For sure, DPS power creep. We haven't seen a support unit.
We don't see support power creep like ever.
Spirit Materia is still...
Spirit Materia, Gen, V...
Yeah.
Like, those are some incredible supports that are still, like, stupid high relevant. X-Man, I say Theo. 100%.
Theo has taken... Theo's kind of stealing the crown all out of nowhere. But
yeah. A lot of stuff coming.
So stuff's coming. Yeah.
Ooh, that's all I got, man.
That's all you got? It was fun, bro. This was a fun podcast. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm glad you had fun, but that's the most important part. Is your enjoyment.
I did. I'm gonna keep the salt at bay. I feel like I do enough venting in my my streams that aren't even about this game anymore. So, interesting. We're gonna see where 2023 takes the channel. Where's your content been, bro?
What do you mean, bro?
I haven't seen like a unit showcase from you.
Bro, I just did one on Melee, bro. What are you talking about? Maybe I did that one too soon. You forgot about it.
I might have forgotten about it. But like you had then done like the Yuri impression video was freaking outstanding, and I haven't seen one since.
I just wasn't that excited about Graph.
Fair enough. I know. You do have that luxury. You get to just do as you do, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of just a hobby thing for me. It's not necessarily a schedule tying thing, which is cool.
It's true. It's true. So, we'll see what LC has in store after this update. You guys know. Not sure if content will ever return in the form it used to be. But the POWERCREEP podcast is still here. Thank you guys for coming out, showing love for it still, and hope you find it entertaining. We'll see if in the next podcast Tweaks can convince me to jump back into LC, but we're still waiting. I'll just say that. But thank you to my co-host as always for holding it down. I mean, if we weren't already in Tweaks' backpack, zip it up. That backpack is heavy right now, so... Oh, Michael Burnside throwing out some names. Yeah, there's definitely, but that's the thing. LC at this point is just it's just units. Without the units, what is there? And you actually did bring that up in some Discord chats. I know I was getting ready to close it out, but it's really tough to see the lack of. We have this new level of power creep. Where do we use it?
Right, dude. Everything just demolishes everything. I mean, the funny thing was, in the 5, just as reference, in the 4, almost 5 months of Maze being out, like, every unit since then has just demolished at least one level of the Maze. And, like, people clearing it now are just like, oh, that wasn't too bad. It's just like, what? Oh yeah, you have Ston. Oh, you use Luke. Oh no shit. just demolished it. Yeah, it's just we need content, and that's just the main drive of what a lot of veterans, a lot of end game players have. We just have a very strong content wall right now. There's nowhere. Maybe they don't want these units to specifically seem so OP, because the only way you're looking to see if they're most OP is in time to kill for DPS.
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, you also brought up the point in a conversation that there was a comment made that they were going to focus a lot more on PvP arena. We have
Right.
guild v guild in the
And
horizon.
that is, in my opinion, for things like focusing arena. I feel like it's a cop out. Like, that's just a way of creating content, of us creating our own content, right? Because there's nothing else to do in the game. What do we do? All right, let's go do some arena battles. Like, that's not how it. I mean, in my opinion, that's not how it should be. But maybe I'm not a game developer, so I don't know.
I know. It's tough.
Just it's a little salt in the wounds there. Because I just generally just don't like PvP games.
Right.
I just do it for the PvE rewards. That's it.
Yeah, talk about the sweat in arena nowadays, but it is what it is, and it's the game that we play. So I'm already screwing with the algorithm, closing out the pod and then opening up a new conversation. So I'm gonna do it officially this time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to hit that like button. Stay subscribed if you're interested in the POWERCREEP podcast, talking about last Cloudia with tweaks. But of course, your boy Boot is going to be still covering some other games that I'm interested currently, Summoner's War Chronicles. So just be ready for a little mix, a little variety on Buddha's channel in the meantime. But with all that being said, y'all know what we say: work hard, play hard. See you in the next podcast.